Well, hello there. My name is Mark Miles, and as you know, if you're following this channel, it's all about real-world application to make your workshops even more powerful, even more effective, and even more results-driven. So, in the last couple of videos, I've been talking about theory. Oh my gosh, a bit of learning theory, a bit of education theory, right? Now, I really touch on this because in my previous, I guess, like lifetimes, I did do a master's of something. I won't tell you what because it doesn't really matter. But I did do a master's degree. I've done a bachelor degree and all that fun degree stuff, right? But at the end of the day, I just got to a point where I stopped enjoying the academic side because I realized that it was like my theory versus someone else's theory. I'm going to sum up everyone's theory and then I'm going to tell the world my theory and then someone else is going to debate my theory. And it became a bit of a never ending loop of theory upon theory, but no real world change, so to speak, right? And then my brain went way over to the personal development space and really discovering and wanting to discover how do we actually create change in the training room? How do we actually influence people? How do we actually make our presentations as powerful as possible, right? So, I've gone that direction, and now I'm just going to pull it back for a couple of videos, and I've already done a video on the cognitive learning theory, behaviorist learning theory, and today I'm going to talk about the constructivist learning theory. Now, a lot of times people will throw this one out there and they'll go, well, pedagogy, oh, yes. Adults like to share what they already know in order to learn, which is all fine, right? It's like one of those throwaway phrases, pedagogy, andragogy, and all that godgy stuff, right? See, the thing is, as I said in earlier videos, theory is great, but if you can't practice it, if you can't deploy it strategically, why even bother knowing it? It's just going to be a useless framework. Right? So in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about four, I can count, 1, 2, 3, 4, four ways that we can actually deploy constructivist learning theory. Now, if you want to Google the definition, go for it. I don't really care. But essentially, constructivist learning theory is the art of building on what people already know in order to then train them or teach them the next thing, right? Now, here's the thing. If you can artfully use behaviorist learning theory, constructivist learning theory, and cognitive learning theory and do it strategically and do it well, you are going to have a bigger impact, right? And let me tell you a quick story before we get into constructivist learning theory, and it'll illustrate why you do need to have some respect for the theory. So many years ago, many years ago, I was in a workshop and I was teaching a particular topic for the very first time. It was a higher level topic that I was teaching for the first time before. And essentially, though, I was speaking to some very experienced people. Now, I was younger at the time. I was in the workshop and I was telling these people that were older than me, more experienced than me, all the things that they should be doing. And I was coming across like I knew more than them. And it did not go well at all. It did not go well at all, right? To the point where on the last day, no one actually came back to the training room in the morning. And I found them at the hotel restaurant. I said, what are you guys doing here? We kind of got the training session happening. And they said, oh, we don't like you. We find you condescending. We find that you are speaking down to us. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Ego destroying moment. And I realized, wow, I had approached that training session completely wrong. And I had probably upset a lot of people because I had walked in and I had disrespected all of their life experience and all the knowledge that they already had. And I'm like, how embarrassing, how embarrassing. Turn the situation around, and in the end, we got through it, and happy days, all were that good. But it was an experience I will never, ever forget. It really shaped me as a trainer, presenter, workshop facilitator, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot ever do that again. So there were a number of things that I changed as a result of that experience. And today, some of the ideas I share with you are going to be drawn from that experience that I had. So get ready to write. Here are 4 ways that you can deploy constructivist learning theory, i.e. building on what people already know. So number 1, used to and start deploying list activities or activities that are good, draw out the information from your learners or from your participants. So list activities are fantastic. They're kind of like brainstorming activities, and they're kind of like, all right, we're talking about leadership. All right, in pairs, I want you to come up with the top 10 characteristics of a great leader. Or, top 6 mistakes that, people make in the area of safety, or whatever it may be. But get people making their own personal list or ideas and drop them down onto pieces of paper and get them sharing what they already know. All right. But don't go in and say, okay, tell me, what do you already know about X topic? Because people don't like, that's too hard for the brain to handle. If you tell me, what do you know about X topic? I'm like, I don't know. But if you actually start helping me activate that knowledge by strategic questions, then I'm going to be able to share, right? So list activities are fantastic. Now, in that vein, you can also use mix and match activities. So you can have a list of things that probably people would be quite familiar with, and then you can have a list of other things that they may not know, and they can draw lines, so to speak, right? So you've got mix and match activities. You've also got potentially contrast activities where you can say to your learners, all right, what do you believe is the difference between this and that? And people discuss what they would think would be the difference between these things and these things, right? So you've got list activities, you've got mix and match, you've got contrast activities. And all of those things are going to draw upon what they already know, and then it's going to take them to that space of not knowing, right? Or that space of new information. Then what you want to do is, if they've done their list, top 10 characteristics of whatever, then you say, fantastic. Well, here's what the research shows. Top 10 characteristics. Like, you bring it out of them first, and then you tell. Number two is your language. Your language. Get your words right. Get your words right. Get your words right, right? Right. So here's the thing, folks. Coming back to my embarrassing story of everyone not coming back on the Friday, what I started to implement was, and I actually wrote it down on a sticky note. I started to write down the phrase, as we all know. As we all know. All right. Or the other variation is, as you would be well aware, right? Now, even if I don't know it, right? Well, even if you're telling something that is brand new for them, just by using the phrase, as we all know, blah, 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 and people go, oh, yeah, but maybe I didn't know that, or maybe I did know that, but that person saying, as we all know, right? It's a great phrase to sort of strategically validate what's new for them, but what we want them to think they already know, if that makes sense, right? So people like to be reminded about what they think they know. All right. So that phrase, as we all know, or as we are well aware, or as we are probably doing already, all right, are some great phrases that can really acknowledge the experience in the room and also implement or place new thoughts in the audience's mind, right? So as we all know, um, having empowering conversations really comes back to how well we can actually empathize with people. And as we all are already doing, some great phrases that you guys are probably already using, you see the point there, right? So language is everything. Tell them as if they're already doing it. Tell them as if they already know it, and it's going to go in even smoother. Get them to share examples of using the thing, doing the thing when they didn't even know they were doing the thing, right? So what I mean by that is maybe you teach them a new theory, new concept, new idea. Then you get your participants to look back in their life and go, well, when were you actually using that thing, but you didn't even realize you were doing that thing or, activating this concept? Because here's the thing, folks, many times in life, we are, right? And a lot of times in life, I could present a new concept around relationships or wealth or whatever it may be. And I can say to you, all right, in the past, when were you actually doing that, or when's an example of you experiencing that, but you didn't even realize that you weren't conscious of that framework or that concept even being there, right? So really, really powerful technique, and it's a really great way to create past reference points, and then people become more conscious of how they're going to use the thing going forward. Number four on the list of constructivist learning theory in action. Number four is ask, then tell. 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 And this is one that, like, I talk about so much in my videos, right? Ask, then tell. Ask, then tell. Ask, then tell, right? It's the idea of, before I say anything to an audience member or to my participants, I'm going to ask them, what's your opinion? Or what is, in your perspective, the reason, blah, blah, before I tell you the thing? Or what is your impression before I tell you the thing, right? So here's what an amateur does. An amateur comes up and goes, the top 10 characteristics of blah, 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 right? Amateur. Professional goes, hi, folks. All right, go ahead in your groups, come up with the top 10 characteristics of blah, blah. All right, great. Then everyone shares, then you share the top 10 characteristics, right? Or if you're going to, say, talk about, I don't know, doing safety, right? So instead of saying, all right, the top biggest mistakes that people make in safety are blah, blah, but you say that, audience. All right, folks, what in your experience, or what have you seen, or what have you noticed as the top 6 characteristics of bad safety management, right? Ask, then tell. Ask, then tell. Ask, then tell. Ask, then tell, right? And it's a really powerful way to shift the dynamic, because otherwise all of the pressure is on you. So stop it. Ask, then tell. Don't tell, then ask, because it's just going to kill all engagement there, folks, right? So, constructivist learning theory. What have we got here? Number one, create multiple activities like list activities, mix and match, contrast activities. 3 simple ones that you can do very easily to really activate the knowledge that's already in the room. Number 2, with your language, language is everything, right? As we all know, language is everything. It really is, right? Number 3 is look for previous examples of their lives, in their lives, get them to look back and go, all right, when have you applied that concept or this new idea that we're talking about, but you didn't even really know about it, or you weren't conscious of it? Number 4, then tell. Ask, then tell. Ask, then tell. And you can do it. You can literally stand in front of the camera all day and say, ask, then tell. And hopefully you make that shift as fast as possible. Because if you want to go from boring to dynamic, like in an instant, just do that. Just ask, then tell, right? And don't tell, then ask, right? It's game over. Game over. All right, folks. I've probably been too animated on this video. So on that note, like, comment, share. Let's get this out there. Constructivist learning theory. Have some fun with it. And take your skills to the next level. Books coming out very shortly, so be aware of that. Look out for the link if you're enjoying the channel. Probably going to enjoy the book, probably. On that note, thanks for watching, team, and we'll see you on the next one. And I may even do a couple of videos on theory, see how it goes. I don't know if there is a learning theory that you want to know more about, and you got some like curiosity. How would an advanced trainer deploy X theory? Drop in the comments, and I may have something about it. On that note, thanks for watching, team.